sportschatplace.com and pickdogs.com. It's Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. We actually have a pretty decent packed sports schedule today. None of the sports that I particularly am dialed in on, but we have sports nonetheless. We got Rod Zawacki with us, Chris Ruffalo, and Steve Monahan. Rod and Chris will be talking UFC and soccer, and Rod and I will be talking NASCAR. I've got Jeter's picks, and I'll be representing Jeff Jeter without the accent. And then we got Steve Monahan to talk about sports news. We try and get Steve going. We do the wake-up call before the show. I just basically badmouth Garrett Cole for a couple minutes. It's the way that usually works. Anyways, we'll bring in Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, Mitch. Good bashing of Garrett Cole this morning.
If you give me the material, I'm going to use it.
Well, I'm happy it's only 60 games this year, then, so I don't have to hear it for 162.
How much does that equal per start for this clown?
A lot.
Speaking of starts and clowns, Dak Prescott looking at $31 million a year. That is a shade under $2 million a game.
That's right.
Have we seen a $500,000 quarter out of Dak Prescott recently? I don't know. It certainly didn't happen against the Jets. $500,000 a quarter is a steep price for Dak Prescott. So he's on the field. You figure a quarter's 15 minutes. They have the clock running fast. He's maybe on the field, 6 to 8 minutes a quarter. So we can boil it down to about $100,000 a minute here for Dak Prescott. Getting their money's worth?
Well, they're not going to. They got till 4 o'clock today. It's highly unlikely the Cowboys extend him. He'll play under the franchise tag. Hey, $31 million. It's a lot of money, but again, that's the market,
but not for a guy of that skill set. That's the market, and we can discuss the market, right? And what the market is for a starting NFL quarterback. But the market for a guy that can't win a playoff game and has proven nothing in his entire career, except that he's been able to stay healthy, which is no small feat for a Cowboy quarterback because they just came out of the whole Romo thing, right? So it's like, oh my God, we got a guy that actually shows up for the games, and is not standing on the sideline in sweats, And it's like, so this seems to be the bar, for the Cowboys right now. But as far as putting Dak Prescott on that same pedestal, we went through this the other day. Josh Allen or Dak Prescott, who would you rather have? It's not even close. It's not even close. He's Wentz at this point, except Wentz has a ring, at least for sitting on the bench. At least Wentz did enough when he was on the field to get them to the playoffs, to give Nick Foles a chance to win a game for his team. And it's like, Dak hasn't done that, and it's not like he hasn't had help, and that's where I have the problem. Aaron Rodgers, he's got this crippling contract, so he can't have help, and then you have other guys, they just don't, like Tom Brady, they take away his wide receiver and take away. He basically we talked about this a million times. They sold their soul, brought in Anthony Brown and Josh Gordon. This is how desperate they were for wide receivers in New England. And Tom Brady didn't actually get to work with either of those guys. And he gets Philip Dorsett, right? He gets Philip Dorsett, Julian Edelman, who's a nice slot receiver, but, he's hardly A.J. Green, right?
Absolutely. No doubt.
He's not even Antonio Brown, He's none of those. He's none of the above. Like I said, nice player, gamer, shows up, overachiever. We love the high motor guys, right? He's a high motor wide receiver. How many of those do you get? And but we've seen him in that position many times throughout his career where they didn't give him the surrounding talent. But Dak Prescott doesn't have that out, in my book. He doesn't have it. He's got the highest paid running back in the league. He's got one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. He's got Sean Lee for 2 to 3 games a season, and he's got an owner who was generally willing to spend on everyone except him. So I don't really see how this guy is worthy of this when you can't beat the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz with all the chips on the table. I mean, really, this is what happened, right? You had a team. At the end of the day, you beat the Jets. You're not in that spot.
So
and you can't do that.
So it makes sense that they're going to franchise him, which they have. McCarthy's the new coach. We'll see 1 year what he can do, if he has, wins a playoff game or not, and then we go from there. But
is he a franchise player?
Yeah, well, franchise tag. So
no, but is he franchise player? Like Allen Iverson, remember Allen Iverson? I'm supposed to be franchise player.
Troy Aikman? He's not Troy Aikman. I'll grant you that.
How about this? Is he the Allen Iverson of the Dallas Cowboys? No, he's not.
No,
he's not.
Okay,
he's not. He's a serviceable quarterback.
He is.
He's serviceable. Does he have the potential to be? Has he set the bar mediocrely? It's not a word, right? We'll make them up as we go on. Has he set the bar of mediocrity firmly enough that he's kind of got an easy target here to have his best ever, right? It's like, his rookie season was his best season, right? They went 13-3, no one saw it coming, and it's been downhill ever since, right? So,
I agree.
To me,
no extension.
Yeah, I just don't see that you're gonna get, like, between him and I don't know, Marcus Mariota, right, who's a similar style quarterback. I don't think, and Marcus Mariota's probably making in the 8 range. I don't know what he makes with the Raiders. We'll figure this out. We'll find out what Mariota's making. I don't think you're getting that $23 million worth of value there. I just don't see it. That's me personally.
I understand your point.
I know you might have the extra 23 lying around, but I'm a fan that it pays for tickets, and I got to sit through some of these crappy commercials for these games that's paying these guys.
Well, you know who will have a lot of money is Myles Garrett. Your boy Myles Garrett just signed a huge deal. He's going to be the highest paid player, non-quarterback, in the NFL. Signs a 5-year, $125 million extension. And Chris Jones got his money in Kansas City on the defensive line, and that's a big signing.
Absolutely deserves.
Very good signing.
Every dime of it. So Marcus Mariota makes $7.5 million a year. I'm just not seeing the 23.5 out of Dak. I'm not saying that Dak hasn't played better than Marcus. Not saying that at all. But I'm not saying he's 23. He's 4 times better. I'm 4 times better than this guy. No, you're not.
No, he's not.
You're not. And he hasn't won 4 times as many playoff games either.
Right. He hasn't won one, as we've talked about.
I believe Mariota did win a playoff game.
Marcus is a number 1 pick. He was a bust.
I wouldn't say he's a bust yet. I think the jury is still out. He's young.
He's a bust.
I wouldn't say so. He has the same skill set as Prescott. He does. Same skill set. Maybe better.
Maybe. He's a bust. Expectations for him were much, much higher.
I would say the expectations were higher, but the expectations, a lot of, Jameis Winston, was actually the number 1 quarterback taken that year, not Mariota. And, and
Ryan Tannehill beat you out.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the season Tannehill had last season, he would have beat Dak out.
I agree. However,
the Cowboys would have. Jerry would have, if it was Tannehill, the Texas A&M guy, Jerry would have already opened the checkbook. Let's just say that much. Oh, you went to Texas?
Of course.
Oh, believe me, he's trying to get Allen from Arkansas in there.
I'm sure he is.
He's pleading his case. This guy's good.
Yeah, but it's McCarthy probably has his sights on somebody. I mean,
it's like, we'll bring in Brandon Allen, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah. He's a Razorback.
Exactly.
He's a hog. And the other thing is Derrick Henry doesn't get extended. He's making 10 point something million. So he's going to play another year. And again, extending running backs is a different
bad
thing.
idea. Especially
I
physical running backs that run
exactly.
like Henry, and if he runs another 8 to 10 years like that, he will get paid on a season by season basis.
Sure.
He will.
Yeah.
People will pay for that if he can continue it. But it's tough to invest in a running back 5 years down the road because when the average career is less than 3.
That's correct. Big Derrick Henry fan though. Always was at Alabama and. Freight train.
Yeah, I think that Alabama running backs have generally been somewhat underrated throughout the years. And when Derrick Henry was drafted late, we lost him on it. There he is. Derrick Henry was drafted fairly late for where he was a Heisman winner. But you look at the impact just of the last season of Alabama running backs, and you got Derrick Henry. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, an emerging star in Las Vegas, and then you have Damian Williams, who was in the biggest game of the year, had a monster game, but it was not something that we hadn't seen from him. Then of course our Kenyon Drake right here, and you got and of course Mark Ingram still churning out yards. So
Trent Richardson turned out to be the biggest bust.
Right, and every school is going to have a bust at a certain position, even if they churn them out. It just happens,
Exactly.
It happens, I mean, some schools have more than others. But Alabama running backs have actually panned out better than a lot of their other position players.
And the wide receivers from Alabama, pretty good.
Yep, Mariota beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
He did. He won a playoff game, so he's got that on deck.
Dalvin Cook wants a trade.
Okay, here we go again. Mostert wants a trade. Running back from San Diego last year wanted a trade.
Gordon.
It's his standard time of year for this. So
Gordon wanted a trade. Everyone wants a trade. And
wants to be traded.
Yeah, and the Rams, they traded
Gurley to
Falcons.
Out.
So, it happens.
But like we've talked about, running backs, you get value in second, third rounds, fourth rounds. You can find a real good diamond in the rough. And, the Rams have this Cam Akers that I believe is taken over for Gurley. So
I like Darrell Henderson in Los Angeles, personally.
Yeah.
I'm a Henderson guy. I know he's on the small side, but I like home run hitters.
That's right.
I like the big play guys. Anyway, speaking of big play guys, I'm going to bring in Zawacki. We're going to talk a little NASCAR here. I got Jeter's picks. So, Rod, good morning.
Morning.
How are you today? I'm just trying to look for Jeter's picks. Jeter's like, I only have one pick, and of course he gives me like 6. As Jeter has.
He just got a little talking in there. That's all. You just have to pick out his couple picks out of his novel.
Jeter's nothing to say is like 3 pages of Skype chat. Anyways, Jeter thinks that Eric Jones top 3 at plus 450 is a pretty smart play in today's All-Star race. And what Jeff Jeter said on the show too, and what he has said all season long on Trading Paint, is that the All-Star races are the best in-game betting in all of NASCAR. I would love to have him expand on that, but he's not here to do it. Rod, what are you looking at?
Because the in game, like a live bet, the way they do these stages, they break them down, and so when you're about to start stage 3, you kind of that set the table for the last stage, so you can kind of see how the drivers are doing. Because tonight's race is different. It's like 2 races in one, right? Because they first start off and they do a play-in. Like they have all the lower seeded guys in NASCAR play an open race, and so the winner of stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 all make it to the big race, which is also tonight. They do this race first, and then the fan vote. The highest fan voter we'll also get into the big dance tonight, in the big race.
Sounds exciting. Anyways, who do you like in tonight's race? We don't have Jeter here, so we can be fairly brisk paced here with the NASCAR coverage.
Okay, so my pick to win the race, I'm gonna go with Hamlin. He's been there. He's got 4 race wins all year. Give me Hamlin to win this race at plus 600. My one long shot of the race, I'm gonna go with Jimmie Johnson. He looked real good last week.
Jeter's
coming back from
Jeter's
COVID.
long shot as well. Jeter likes Jimmie Johnson as well as his long shot at plus 2,000.
You gotta put him in there. He looked
Jeter's
real good last week racing. And he's got to win one this year. He's got to win one, whether we can pick it on the day that he wins it, but he's got to win one this year before he retires.
Jeter's top pick for tonight's All-Star race is Ryan Blaney at plus 1,000. 10-1 on your money on Blaney in tonight's All-Star race. That's Jeter's top pick.
Another guy who's been there.
Who else? Do you like any other picks here for NASCAR? Can we bring?
That's what I'm going. I'm going with Hamlin and J.J.
All right, we're gonna bring Ruffalo in. That was nothing fun about that. Bring in Chris. Oh, that didn't work. We got everybody here. But anyways, we got Chris, me, and Rod. And morning, Chris. How are you?
Morning, doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. We got Udinese in action in soccer today, which is always a big day for Chris Ruffalo. That's why he's got his red on, Tiger red on Wednesday, because it's always Tiger Sunday with Udinese on the pitch.
This is marinara red. Let's not confuse it with anything else.
I don't even know what to say. It's like he says marinara, and all of a sudden I think I thought I had a plate of cheese sticks in front of me. You know, hit him, Rock. He'll kill you to death. So what do we got today in today's action, Chris? I know we have a few leagues, and we also have a lot of these minor leagues. Lower soccer league. So we've opened our premium area, and I noticed that a lot of the cappers, Al Ninos, Spread Knowledge, and a few other guys covering, just where the value is, not necessarily the giant leagues. What do we have today?
As far as the major leagues go, there's 4 games in the EPL, 7 games in Serie A. For my first one, though, I'm going to stay all Serie A today. I'm going to go with my first one. I'm going to go Roma at minus 155 against Verona. Verona hasn't won at Roma since the 90s, and Roma's just picking up steam down the stretch. They're going for a top 5 spot, so I'll take Roma money line at minus 155.
Rod?
Roma versus Verona. I'm taking the under 3.5 at minus 150. I don't see a whole lot of goals here. I see 2-1 tops max in this game. These teams aren't known for their scoring, so give me the under 3.5 minus 150.
What else we got?
For another one, I'm taking Sampdoria money line against Cagliari. Cagliari hasn't scored on the road, or hasn't scored in any of their last 3 games. Sampdoria's picked up 3 of their last 4, picked up wins, and I just think they're the better team in better form here. So I'll take Sampdoria on the money line at minus 105.
I know absolutely nothing about these games. Rod, what do you like?
Next one, I'm going Lazio and Udinese, where Udinese's been scoring goals up like crazy. So give me the over 2.5 goals here between Lazio and Udinese. Over 2.5 minus 125.
Chris,
over in this game.
Any thoughts on Udinese?
Udinese.
Actually, that's the third game that I have. I like Lazio on the money line.
Whoa!
Lazio's owned Udinese over the years. They've won 10 of the last 11, and the one other game was a draw. So I'll take Lazio on the money line at plus 105. So I'll parlay those up. Roma, Sampdoria, and Lazio all on the money line. Pays you about 5-1.
Sweet. Anything else?
Yeah, and for me, another game. I'm taking Juventus over 2.5. They're playing Sassuolo, over 2.5 goals. I think we easily get over 2.5 goals there. And the other one I'm taking is Napoli over 2.5 goals as well. Parlay those up, and you got a plus 680, 84. So Napoli over 2.5, Juventus over 2.5, Udinese over 2.5, Roma and Verona under 3.5. Parlay it up, get a nice plus 684. Love that today.
Anything else?
That's all I'm
Chris?
touching for soccer. And then I have another soccer pick, but it's in the premium area.
Chris?
For the EPL.
I have 2 premium picks in the premium area as well, and I have a free parlay on Sports Chat Place in the soccer section.
Awesome. We go to UFC, and UFC on ESPN 13. These are kind of so I've learned a little bit about UFC, and I try and, put in perspective. I don't know any of the fighters, right? Or I know a few of them, but not much. And, but I am learning my way around this UFC, during the COVID stoppage, and which means next week we'll see how much attention I pay to it. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% in, but I'm not 100% out. But it seems that the UFC on ESPN, this is kind of the minor leagues, right, of the UFC. And I'm not saying that any of these guys are minor league fighters by any stretch of the imagination. These are just not the champions and superstars of the UFC that generally fight on the UFC on ESPN. I'm saying we have some good fighters. We have some great fights. I mean, some great fights. And I'm not saying that these are guys. I mean, just to make it into the UFC is a feat. It's among it's. It's like getting. And I said it. Probably used the total wrong wording there at the beginning. I know I did. That's why I'm backtracking, right? So I'm trying to backtrack. But I think that just making it to the UFC, and it's kind of like last place in the Champions League. If you got last place, it's like making it to the Champions League is amazing. Losing the Super Bowl, stuff like that. Anyways, I don't know if it's losing the Super Bowl. I think it's more like I don't know what the hell it is. But let's just say it's the smallest fish in the big pond, right?
It's making the wild card round.
Right. It's a smaller fish in the big pond that, they could have high upside or they could be on the way down, but either way.
These are fighters that are ranked in the middle area. Number 9, number 10. Right. In those divisions.
Up and comers or sliders or a little bit of both. Anyways, Chris, what do we got here in UFC? What are you looking at? It's not a gigantic card, right? It's not like one of these 30 fight cards that we've seen.
It's a 10 fight card now. One of the fights got canceled yesterday. I'm only looking at 2 though.
And what are you looking at?
For me, the first one I'm looking at is Molly McCann minus 160 against Talia Santos. I mean, leave it to me to pick a fighter with the nickname Meatball. But I mean, I love McCann here. We're getting plus money with a 15-1 fighter in Santos, which looked fishy, and I dug a little deeper. The majority of Santos' wins have come against fighters making their debut or with records of like 2-12, 1-11. So it's a lot easier to make a 15-1 record look good there. McCann's just faced and defeated better opposition. I'm not sure Santos keeps up here, so I'll go McCann on the money line.
Well, if anyone knows 2-12 and 1-11, it's Ruffalo. Anyways, Rod, what do we got?
and I'm on 2 fights as well, and happen to be I'm on Meatball as well. How can you not? Meatball's on a 3-fight winning streak. Her striking ability is just way better than Santos, and I think that gets her the win. Give me Meatball on the money line as well.
So Santos sounds like could be Brazilian here. Is that she?
Brazilian?
Those jiu-jitsu, not really bone to I've seen that before. We know what happens here. They grab them by the toe, look like they're done. They pinch their toe, and all of a sudden they twist them into a pretzel, and the fight is over. That is the dangerous of fighting the Brazilian jiu-jitsu UFC fighters. Anything else on the card, Rod?
Yeah, and my other fight on the card is Jimmie Rivera versus Cody Stamann. I'm going to go with the underdog here. He's a slight underdog with Cody Stamann in the featherweights here. Cody Stamann's averaging 4.5 massive strikes per minute, which is a little higher than Rivera, but he's also landing those strikes at a 49%. Stamen's also his takedown is very impressive, so he's got a half decent ground game. The only thing that I think Rivera is good at is his takedown defense, but I think Stamen gets through that. Give me Stamen to win this fight. Money line at +110.
Chris?
And for me, the other one I'm looking at is I'm taking an underdog myself, Chris Fishgold at +120 against Jared Gordon. Gordon's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, all of them by knockout, and trying to break that streak, having to travel halfway around the world isn't the thing I'd want to try to have to do if I were a fighter. So, and Fishgold's just a far better wrestler, submission specialist. So I'll take Fishgold here with the money line, and I'll put a little bit on Fishgold to win by submission at +250.
Okay. Anything else?
And
We got what are the main events here? What are the main events? It's Qatar and Ige. Is that
Calvin Qatar and Dan Ige?
What do we think of this one?
Qatar, he's strong, man. He's got a solid punch, and I put a little on Ige just because he's the dog. I can't take that price. He's at like a -200 and something. Ige is +2 something. I put a little. I put like a quarter unit on Ige to maybe get the upset.
Yeah, it's gone up to Qatar -310 now, and Ige I think at +235.
Oh, so it's really not.
The interesting thing, the interesting thing for me to know is neither of these guys have gone 5 rounds in a fight. So these main events, even though it's not a title fight, the main event on the card is going to go 5 rounds, and if you don't score the knockout early, these guys could get gassed, could leave you open for a late knockout. I would also put a little bit on Ige just for value. But this is a fight that I'm running to the window to bet.
Who do you like, Ige versus Dak Prescott?
Ige.
Yeah, I like
Ige.
I like Ige. Rod, you got anything else for us here
That
on
would
this
be
one?
awesome to see. I'd like to see that.
How about Garrett Cole against Couture?
I'll take Cole versus Dak Prescott any day of the week.
How about Adam Dunn versus Garrett Cole in the octagon? Those guys are 2 different weight divisions, I think. I saw Adam Dunn standing next to Jeremy Giambi on first base one day in Cincinnati, and it was like, holy crap. He's about 5 times the size of him. Anything else on this card? Rod looks frozen.
And not for me.
All right, Rod.
Not for me. Those are the 2 I'm betting.
We'll bring Steve back in. We'll do our wrap-up section. Yeah, there's a lot of games today, but definitely treading lightly. So, bet with your head, not over it. I know that with the premium area, a lot of the cappers are kind of, they're chomping at the bit to get picks out, and I'm telling them, you can't put your NBA picks up now. It's like, we don't even know who's coming out of the bubble, in one piece. It's like, I was bored. It's like, yeah, I don't care. It's like, them deleting them. Anyways, speaking of deleting, Chris, what do you got?
Well, speaking of the bubble, the TBT wrapped up yesterday, and they were proof that it just goes to show that the quarantine and the bubble strategy can work when it's followed properly. There was consistent testing. They had a 7.5% positive rate when you came into the tournament. But as the guys were in quarantine and stayed within the bubble, followed the protocol, it whittled down. And in the last couple days, they had 2 positive tests, and then they went down to 0 over the last 2 days of the tournament. So I think it all just goes to show if the protocols are followed, this can work. And if it doesn't work, then we know who to point the finger at.
Rod?
So for me, the NHL decided we should play some more hockey games. So they decided we're going to release a preseason. So all the teams that are in the big dance tournament will all get a preseason warm-up game starting July 28th is the first matchups. We're going to see a nice big battle of Alberta, You see the Oilers versus the Calgary Flames. That's a huge matchup. I'm going to see the Leafs play Montreal in an original 6 matchup. Penguins are going to play the Flyers, but at least these teams are going to get a little warm-up game before they get into the big dance. Excited to see. Players are getting excited too, getting back to hockey, real sports.
Steve?
Tiger Woods makes his debut tomorrow in Ohio at Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament. Tiger's been off, as everybody knows, since February, and he's 44. He's won this tournament 5 times. So the more I've been thinking about Tiger at age 44, in theory, he has at least, if he stays healthy, at least 20 plus more majors to play by the time he's 50. And he's 3 away from Nicklaus. I used to be the guy that said, no way he's going to catch him. But I can't put anything past this guy. And I'm actually now more leaning that he just made time. I don't think he'll get 4 majors, but getting 3 more majors, and if he stays healthy, Phil just turned 50. 50 isn't what it was 30 years ago, right? So I'm just saying I'm leaning more now that Tiger Woods would tie Jack Nicklaus and get 3 more majors, because the Masters is, it's like for him playing in a bandbox. So I can see another Masters or 2 definitely out of him. So I just wanted to make that comment about Tiger. He's back on tour tomorrow. That's it.
I'm going to continue down my same theme all the way up until the restart of sports, and that is that sports is restarting. Be careful out there. There's a lot of new handicapping sites and a lot of new handicappers. We're not going to change our approach. We're not going to change what we do. We are changing our offerings, and that's that we have our new multi-capper premium packages instead of just me. Just giving you guys different opportunities, and as I've proved on this show and as I've proved in life, just because I handicap sports doesn't mean I can handicap every single sport. There's a reason we have the puck dogs here. It's not just for the sex appeal. It's also that these guys know sports that I don't know, and that's how they originally got on the show. Hockey, UFC, soccer. I mean, I would basically be sitting here talking about nothing if I didn't have these guys, and they know that. But, the thing is that, there's a lot of sites out there and a lot of handicappers out there and a lot of not sites out there. And if you're going to send PayPal money to people on Twitter that can't even show you who they are and have a real name and a real face and someone that's going to be accountable, and they steal your money, well, you basically got what you paid for in that instance. I'm not saying you got to buy from us. I'm not saying you got to click on everything from us. I'm just glad you tuned in for what you tune in for. But definitely be careful who you do business with. There are certain people out there that are only in it for the money. And if it comes between doing the right thing and the money, they're going to take the money every time. I had many, many emails already this week saying, hey, should I buy your weekly package? And I said to them, well, I don't have any picks, so you might want to wait, or you could buy a monthly package, should I buy your monthly package? You should wait until baseball or basketball starts, and then I'll start having picks every day. This way, you don't waste a week of your money. It's like, other people, hey, should I buy this guy's weekly package? I'm like, well, he's only putting in UFC picks, so, it probably makes sense in a couple days to do that, and I think that, we're always going to put honesty and integrity first and money last, and some people think that I'm stupid for that. I've been called stupid. I've been treated like I'm stupid, and if that's what it is, then I am stupid. And, some people think I'm stupid because I play golf and surf. I don't, and live in Hawaii, so I'm stupid. If that's stupid, I can live with it, but don't be stupid. Anyways, we got the guys back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Another solid show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have, I believe that, so Rod announced an NHL schedule and an NHL preseason. We also are going to have an NBA preseason that's going to start in just a couple days, right, Chris? And
yeah,
and MLB as well, right? MLB just starts, right?
MLB just starts, yeah.
The 23rd, I think, is the first game.
So we're going to be doing half times and all that stuff because we're going to need to warm up, with NBA. I'll be on for halftime shows. I'll be doing all sorts of stuff like that. I've already changed my schedule for my golf, so it's like I know I've been playing a ton now, but it's like I changed my schedules. I'm gonna be around a lot more. I enjoyed it, my handicap enjoyed it, and I tell you, a quick shout out, unpaid endorsement here, Ping, to Ping Golf. I play Ping Golf equipment, and I don't have, not every club in my bag is Ping, but 12 of the 14 clubs in my bag are Ping at any given time. And I would say that I hit my 5-wood. I was hitting it, and I hit a shot, and it was a shot that should have easily been on the green. And, it was 190 yards into the wind uphill, but it's my 5-wood. It's like, it's my shot, right? And I looked down at my club, and there's a crack across the face, which I've never had before. And I called Ping, and they said, no problem, just bring it to your local golf shop, and they'll replace it right away. And that's exactly what happened. No problems, no questions asked. They just looked at it, and they just said, wow, that's crazy. And they just replaced it, and I didn't even have the factory shaft on it or anything. They just replaced the head, put a new one on, and it was out the door and back on the course. So that's great customer service, man. I appreciate it. 3 years from from the day that it leaves the factory, they cover it. If you got receipt, don't have receipt, bought it, third hand, it doesn't matter. If it's within the 3 years, they replace it. I don't know about the shafts and stuff like that for you club throwers out there, but the face of the club, and if you're not hitting bottles and rocks. I hit golf balls. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to be back around, so if anyone has any questions, comments, anything like that, the Facebook group, going to be active in it and treat it as our social way of getting in touch with you guys. Of course, if you have more specific questions about purchases or questions in that way, you can always email me, Mitch@sportschatplace.com, Mitch@pickdogs.com. Anything else anyone's got to say? No?
Nope.
Have a good Wednesday.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.